Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and this is probably one of my favorite beer reviews that I do. Haven't done it a bunch. Only done it twice so far, and that's my 2021 Old Stock review. For those that don't know, this is one of my favorite ageable beers. Old Stock from North Coast Brewing Company for me is kind of one of the seminal kind of ageable beers, and just one of the better beers that just, in general, just buy a case, throw it in your cellar. You're good for a decade or two. And when my son was born, Micah, whose birthday was actually yesterday, I decided to buy a case of this with the long-term goal of reviewing this every year on, or around his birthday. And, see how it evolves over those years. Right now the drinking age in the United States is 21 years old. So if things stay status quo, my whole goal here is to review this every year, and then when he turns 21, if he wants to review this beer with me, he can. So we'll do 21 of these over the next, at this point, because we did one on his conception, or not conception, birthday. So we're technically one behind. So it'll be 22 total beers over the course of that time, and this is our third one in, and gets me a little teary-eyed every time I do it. Not that I've done it a ton, but his birthday was yesterday, St. Patrick's Day, and we're having his birthday party tomorrow with friends and family and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's something about it just gets me a little bit kind of hot and bothered. So anyway, like I said, Old Stock Cellar Reserve, or not Cellar Reserve, Old Stock Ale. Sorry for the lighting in here. I'm actually in the shed doing a semi-proper review. I don't have all my stuff hooked up yet, so my lights that are typically here that show the beer, it is what it is. Anyway, like I said, long haul ager typically works really, really well over decades of time, but the kind of catch-all, the kind of cool thing about this beer is it was probably my favorite iteration of this beer when it was originally released. Like as far as freshness goes, it was probably one of my favorite ones. So we're talking about a 11.2% alcohol by volume old ale. It's barley wine from Old Stock, North Coast Brewing Company. Sorry, Old Stock Ale 2021, Fort Bragg, Colorado, California. Man, I suck at these, don't I? So we'll see what's what. Anyway, give it a pour. Let's see what we have going on here. Yeah, I'm so excited to do these over the years. I'm going to pour the whole thing in there. Why not? Label-wise, classic to a T. I mean, they've changed over the years, but they've stayed pretty much the same. And as far as the beer goes, nice, kind of rich mahogany. You're not really going to be able to see all that much. Poopy me. In my new setup, haven't done it properly or got it set up properly, but that's what you're gonna get. But it has that nice kind of you put too much powdered iced tea in the iced tea kind of look to it, if there's still such a thing as powdered iced tea. So yeah, it looks the part of a nice rich American born but English style old ale / barley wine. So yeah, let's get a nose. Yeah, the nose, you're getting that burnt brown sugar. You're getting that kind of subtle oxidation that can kind of temper a beer like this initially for the first couple of years, but then ends up being something that ends up being trumped by a deliciousness. That raisinette-y kind of date figgy thing. Typically that kind of associates these kind of beers with the long haul aging, but now we're talking about, 2.5 years in. There's an oxidation here. Nothing overtly negative. Something you'd expect with a beer like this. but it's tempered a bit of its kind of pop. At least on the nose, it lacks a little bit of that pop from what you'd expect from like perception of big sweetness. It does have decent bittering on it when it's originally kind of brewed. I was going to say conceptioned. That's not even a word. But that's kind of missing on the nose. Really what you're getting here is just that caramel, slightly burnt brown sugar kind of sweetness. Pretty much undone, soft yeast phenolic, nothing too crazy. We're actually just going to dive in for the taste. Cheers. It's still tasty. Yeah. I mean, if I'm sitting here and going knee-jerk reaction, in combination with what I remember this beer being, and what this beer tasted like when I originally got the case, it's kind of, it's lost a bit of its fastball, a little bit of its zip. That burnt brown sugar portion of the show is there, but not overly sweet. That bittering, tannic tea-like hop, that fugly Kent Golding thing is there. But it just, there's something about it that's a little bit less, at least in the way my memory kind of serves. Not a negative beer by any stretch of the imagination. That's not happening. I'm curious to see where it lands when it warms up. But not too bad. Not too shabby. That oxidation, that subtle, not negative oxidation is kind of creeping in. It's kind of tempering a bit of the sweetness. And just kind of tempering the beer as a whole, I think. Kind of making the beer a little bit less. Kind of knocking down the volume. It's almost like a compressor on the beer. And I think it's going to sit this way for maybe a couple years. That's where these beers tend to kind of trail or tend to kind of lean towards. They tend to be like this. They tend to kind of slowly soften before they kind of ramp up and become a little bit more kind of, for the lack of a better word, deliciouser. But not too shabby. It's kind of not curious. It's kind of interesting to see where this beer has kind of come from its original kind of origin. Because, you know, typically I'm like, okay, this is, you know, it's sweet, it's big, it's bold, it is what it is. But I was so gaga for this from the get. And even in year 2, or technically year 1, but the second review, I was like, man, this is kind of tracking pretty damn well. And while I think that's still the case, it's taken a dip, but a dip in a direction that I think a lot of these beers tend to take before they become the masterpieces that they tend to be. I mean, maybe that's a little bit kind of hoping rather than being, you know, the whole objective versus subjective thing, but not too shabby. I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see where this one lands. So we're technically 3 down, you know, out of 22. So only 19 more of these to go until we'll see what happens. But yeah, tasty, fun. Curious to see where it lands. That's my assessment so far. But it does not detract from the awesomeness of my kid. He is a bonkers, awesome little duder. Whip smart, man. Just, I don't even know what to say. He's the coolest dude in the history of the universe. At least for me. I know that's how everybody feels looking at their kids, but man, I am a lucky dude. So yeah, I don't know what else to say other than, yeah, this beer's tracking well. It's gonna be a fun 19 more to go. You know, in the end, if he chooses to do one of these with me, that would be pretty awesome. Not such is life. There you go. So my 2021 Old Stock Ale year 2, technically review 3, the Micah beer, St. Patty's Day beer, my kid's beer. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of Old Stock right now. If you've had this, let me know. Let me know if you've had it recently, originally, all that kind of stuff. If you're playing along in this game, that would be even cooler. Just in general, let me know your thoughts on North Coast, Old Stock, the whole nine, all that stuff down there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying delicious beer right now. We'll see you next time. Cheers, all.